Afternoon. How's it going? Good time to clear my throat. Not before the stream, but after it started. Anyway, how's everyone doing? So we're back. So yesterday we tried out some dual universe. I do intend to play more of it once I come to grips with it. But today we're returning to the spooks because it's still October, and this game is sort of spooky enough. So Hellblade, we're returning to it. So I guess we're maybe halfway through. I'm not exactly sure how far we've gotten into it, but we're getting into it. So let's see. Make sure I got this at the right resolution. That's nice and loud. No, it's not. Okay. Wait, that means... Oh, there it went. So apparently it loads in one resolution and then comes back on the other. That's... little weird, Okay, oops, wait. Oh, there we go. My window's up right here. Okay. I think we got it. Alright, cool. Did my controller just turn off? What's going on? Oh, yeah. Alright. Let's get going. Oh, why my mouse is there now? Shouldn't be. Wait. Oh yeah, this is... Wait, where am I? I suddenly don't remember where I'm at, where I am. Where did I leave off? Hey, Chrome. I don't actually remember where I'm at. I know I was in that place where the shadows would, like, drive her crazy, but... I kind of forgot how to run there. Plus, I couldn't see. Oh, right. I remember. She was crossing that bridge. It started to collapse. And then she lost her lover's head. It fell away. That's right. I remember now. So his head fell down there. Someone without it, she can't try to get his soul back. Plus, maybe I should have grabbed this torch that was right here.
Keep going. Keep going.
The beast is down there.
No.
She knows the beast is down there. Why does she keep going towards
He's always watching you. Beast is there. You're never safe from him.
You can feel him.
Be careful.
She needs to find him.
Where is he?
She needs to find it.
Is he
She
down
lost
there?
it and she has to find it.
I can feel it. Is it?
Keep the torch alight.
Can you see? Waste of heat. Where is she? Keep your eyes up. You're never gonna find anything.
You're playing Amnesia Rebirth? I just heard about it yesterday. I just happened to see it on Steam. I don't know. I might consider it. I liked the first Amnesia game. I didn't like Machine for Pigs. It wasn't that good, to be honest. Wasn't made by the same team, though. For how to fight.
Finish this!
Finish him.
Nice try.
Behind you! Behind you! Behind you!
Focus. Now. Focus.
Focus now!
Come on. Hit the button. Wrong button.
You can do this. Focus.
Okay, let's find this. Okay, so here somewhere? Yeah, back here. Where? Oh. I bet it's all the way up there. I get the feeling that light that's being cast is it somehow. Maybe. is down there. Alright, well. Can I take another torch? Can I just have 2 torches? Part of that. Is part of that. I know it's gotta be. But oh, I didn't see these stairs right here. There, now we can see it from the other side. Alright. This game is not ever sound friendly. Why is that? Is it just because of the whispers?
The lights run out.
Shut down.
She hasn't. Her father tried to help her.
But she wouldn't listen. He was doing his best.
She never, ever listens.
Something back here.
Trying to help her. He was trying to save her from the darkness.
Zindri was right.
Zinbel was trying to save her from the darkness.
Yeah, most of the whispers you can't hear very well. But can you hear like the main voices?
And now everybody is dead.
Because of her.
It's all her fault.
All her fault. So weak. She should have known. She should have.
Why doesn't she learn? When will she learn?
She doesn't understand.
Now the darkness has Dillian's.
And it will take it and never give it back.
She can search and search, but she will never find it.
She's let the darkness in. It's the end.
The darkness will take her like it took her mother.
She can't resist. Pointless even trying to retrieve it. She's lost.
Where is she going? She's got to go deeper to find the head. Deeper towards the darkness.
Although Sigurd kills the dragon, Rayan wants to keep Fafnir's gold all for himself. Rayan also wants the strength and wisdom of the dragon, so he drinks its blood and asks Sigurd to roast Fafnir's heart for him. Sigurd does so, but when he touches the roasted heart to see if it is done, he burns his finger. Without thinking, he licks his finger and tastes the dragon's blood. In that moment, he understands the language of birds and hears them talk nearby.
Plays into his hands.
Somewhat. Your setting is 5 out of 10 in sound and you're using earbuds. I mean, I can turn it up a little bit, but yeah, a lot of the whispers are kind of meant to be just really subtle. And of course, you know, Twitch probably quiets a few things here and there as well. Let's see if there's any. I can turn that up a little bit.
So clear now.
She was never here. It was all an illusion.
Why did you fall for it?
She never learns. It's the beast. She can't tell the difference between reality and illusion.
He knows how to play with her.
He knows how to draw her where he wants her. He's using you. He put the darkness in you. Where is she now?
The darkness killed your mother.
Where is she now? Where is she?
Plus the way it does the audio is it goes between both ears.
The darkness will kill you.
So it's very 3D on the audio, so sometimes you'll you know, hear it all around you.
Really happened to her. Your mother was weak like you are. Her mother was weak
What's
like
she
you.
doing?
She's lighting a torch. She's making light.
She's making a fire.
She's got light on the other side.
She herself. What's her plan? What's she thinking?
She's going to get there.
The lights run out. She'll die. She can't.
She'll die.
She has to.
No, she can do.
She can do it.
It's light on the other side.
She can reach it.
She can see it. No, she can't.
Yes, she can. Yeah, no, she can.
Keep going. Keep going.
Stop! Stop!
Keep going. You can't get through. She has to do it. Force it. Get up. Get up. What are you doing?
That was close. All those flashes, I couldn't see what was happening.
Faster. Faster. Keep going. Keep going. What is she doing?
Stop! Stop!
Keep going.
Don't let him notice.
Follow you.
Quick.
Where is she going? Faster. Faster. Keep going. Keep going. What is she doing?
Stop! Stop!
Keep going.
Quit telling me to do things. Now I need to get to the other side.
Keep going. Keep going. What is she doing?
Stop! Stop!
Keep going.
Don't let him notice.
Follow you.
Quick.
Dillian. She can't help but think of him. A tender guiding flame in a world so black. The longer it burned, the more she convinced herself that there was nothing beyond its reach. How little separates us from what we fear. There's still further to go. Go down. Go down. Go down. She has to.
Sigurd's newfound power lets him hear the birds speak. And they say, Sigurd should eat the heart himself. Rain wants Fafnir's gold. Sigurd should kill Rain before Sigurd heeds the bird's advice. He kills Rain, eats Fafnir's roasted heart, and takes Fafnir's treasure. And he embarks on a new quest. To ride to Hinderfell and find Brynhild, the Valkyrie.
I tell you, this path to the world of the dead is nice. You know. Creepy.
I hear you.
Come back to me, son.
I'm coming for you.
Follow my voice.
I'm coming.
Come back.
You let the torch go out.
Your eyes. Just use your eyes. Lillian, I see you. Run. The beast has Lillian. No. It's time. You're not taking it from me.
I can smell your
No.
betrayed your god.
I am leaving with him.
Turn your back on me. That is why Dillian will rot in hell.
Has to fight him. Fight. Fight for Dillian.
Come into my shadow.
They're winning.
Yeah, this could be a problem.
Don't give up. You can darkness. Breathe the darkness. The bright. Then listen. Slow. Get to the light. You must get rid of the light.
block that. I didn't think you could, but you know.
She won't make it.
People think of evil as an unnatural, invisible force, and so invoke the gods for protection. But evil can come from the hand behind the gods. A familiar hand, cold and cruel. He tried to fix her with his rituals, kept her trapped in that hole. She couldn't say which was worse. The darkness. Or the monster that her father had become. She couldn't fight them both. And so she left. Headed for the one ray of light that shone down on her. If she had stayed, she wouldn't have survived. Maybe Dillian would still be alive.
I'm so sorry, my love.
She will save his soul. Even if this time she can't save her own.
Forgive me, Senua. I know you have no reason to trust me anymore.
Shadow, listen.
But believe this, it was my mission to make you hate. To hate the darkness with a passion so great it would focus your mind on this quest. Without it, I fear you would have left those slack. All this time, I've wanted to protect you from the truth that would have destroyed you a long time ago.
Follow.
But you have conquered your darkness at every turn.
Stay alert, Senua.
You deserve to see behind the veil of darkness.
Then take me to
He
the
wants her
mountain.
to trust him.
As deep as we can go.
No,
I won't stand in your way.
she has to trust him. Follow it.
You will not survive what is in there.
I know.
What else can she do? Nothing. She doesn't want to tell me. She has nothing. She has nothing. She's come this
I do like when she looks at the camera. It's such an interesting, like,
She must listen to the shadow.
she's talking to us, but she's not. She's talking to the voice, but you know, looking at us. It's a nice touch. It's very it's something they don't typically do. You know, is
Distraction.
look at the camera.
You're too weak. You've got time to rest now. Close your eyes. Just close your eyes. It'll be over so soon.
Oh, I didn't realize.
It's not too late. She's still alive. The rot hasn't. It could all be over so soon. So quick. Now she must keep going. The rot is crawling up her arm. She hasn't got long. It will kill her eventually. She's waiting.
Don't let the darkness trick me again. I know you're safe with the gods. I can feel Hela's gaze, searching for secrets inside of me. Secrets that even I can't see. I'm not here to fight my past. I'm here for Dillion. I will fulfill my vow, whatever the cost.
Man, remember everything was nice, you know, kind of creepy, but nice forest. This way I'm supposed to go.
She can see it. The bridge. She can't cross the bridge. It's broken. She has to fix it. It's too dangerous. She's done it before. She can't fix it. She's done it before. She can. She can. She'll do it again. How will she do it? There must be a way. You have to try. Get to the gate. She'll never make it.
The Northmen say the world will come to an end. They call this Ragnarok, the destiny of the gods. First, there will be a terrible winter, 3 years long. Then, mankind will turn on itself. Brothers will fight each other to the death, and people will forget what they owe their kindred. Times will be hard. Crimes will be great. It will be an age of axes and swords. The wind will blow through abandoned halls. Wolves will walk where children played. The world will fall into ruin.
Seems pretty accurate. Was almost certain that was going to be a fight. Not positive it won't end up being a fight. Quite on it, am I? Or am I?
She did it. She did it. She did it.
Okay, that's that part. Now I just need the other part. Knew it. Knew it.
Behind you.
You.
He's down. Finish it. Finish it. She will die. Behind you. Behind you.
On. Damn it. your turn.
He's gone! How will she do it? What will she do? How's she going to find his actual self? He doesn't have
I said, well, as you were there, what were you there for? I've already, my brain's already moved.
She must bargain. No. She'll kill Hela. She cannot bargain with Hela. She's not strong enough to kill Hela. What does Hela want? No one can bargain with Hela. What does Hela want? What can she give her? She could give her her own soul. No. Her soul's rotting. She'd rather die. It's a worthless soul. But it's all she has to give. She has a warrior soul. What more could she give? A cursed soul. Of course she is, no matter what she does. She can feel the world climbing up her arm. She can fight her. She can fight her at Ragnarok. She's a warrior. She's got this. Hela will want to fight her. So strong. Her soul is. She can see it. The bridge. She can't cross the bridge. It's broken. She has to fix it. It's too dangerous. She's done it before. You have to fight her. Be powerful. The final battle. Get his soul back. It's the
Final battle, we're getting near the end.
Yes, it is.
I love when she does that. I love when she talks to us.
This isn't just a broken bridge, is it? Mother, you showed me how to see further. To see the hidden wonders in our world and explore new paths into the unknown. To lead so that others may follow, or to warn so that they may avoid. That is our gift and our duty. I'm not going to look away in fear anymore.
The Northmen say the gods will fight their last battle at Ragnarok. Their watchmen will blow the horn that can be heard through the whole world. And Odin will speak with the severed head of Mimir, which gives him good counsel. The land of the giants will thunder with the sound of their army on the move. The gods will assemble. The dwarves will leave their stones. The frost giants will come from the east. The Midgard serpent will turn up the waves. Eagles will scream and tear at the corpses with their yellow beaks. The ship of the dead will set sail.
You were there when Ragnarok happened. Looked like World War I, with swords instead of guns, and only one continent. Okay. Of course we can't open that. This isn't it. Gotta go higher.
She can do it. She can do it. She can still see the secrets of the gods. She can think differently. So special. You can do it. She must see. She has the sight. She can see their secrets.
Gotta get higher still. Wait, is that... That's the way I came in, isn't it? So now how do I get to the next bit?
There's an illusion. She's found a way. There's a way. She can see. She must align herself. She can do it. There's the... She aligns herself. It's there.
No, you're not gonna make me run, are you?
The Northmen say that at Ragnarok, the gods will face a ship full of their foes, which Loki has steered to Asgard. It carries the fire giants, the wolf that will eat the sun, and all kinds of dark creatures. Surt will join them with his sword of fire. The cliffs will crash, trolls will walk the land, men will tread the road to hell, and the heavens will split open.
Okay, alright. Let's proceed through there. So the question is, who builds places like these? Like, you know, when in the building of this place, who says, let's put one of those cages right here? Fighting place, huh? Yeah, sure. And what if I don't? What if I just go straight up? That's what I thought. There's the thing up here.
The Northmen said each god will do battle at Ragnarok. Odin will fight the monstrous wolf and be killed, but his son will avenge him and plunge his sword into the heart of the beast. Freyr will face Surt, but he had given his sword away for love, and without it, he cannot defend himself against the flames. Thor will smite the Midgard serpent to no avail. The sun will grow black, the earth will sink into the sea, the stars will disappear, fire and water will meet, steam will shoot up, flames will play against the sky, the heavens and earth and all the world will be burned, all the gods will be dead, and the warriors of Valhalla and the people everywhere. Senua, prepare yourself for Ragnarok, for it is nigh.
Someone with a lot of time on their hands, yeah. And like, who was this fellow? What's the lore behind this guy? What brought him here? Who put him there? Oh, you! I hate you! Two-shot motherfucker.
She's hurt. There's blood.
Yeah.
Quickly get up. It's not over. You can do it. Keep going.
Really? Really? I got two of them. I can't deal with one of them.
It's nearly over. Finish it.
Ugh.
You can do it. You're close. Focus. Focus now. Focus. Focus now. Did it? She finished him. Behind you!
Oh, come on!
They can see you're weak.
I blocked that.
The mirror. Focus, focus. End it now. This is nearly the end.
I did not want to do that fight again. Jesus Christ. Oh, I didn't want to do that again. Not with two of those two-shotters. I hate that. Oh! Hi guys, hi Dark Woman. Oh. Yeah, two of those two-shotters. Ugh. And if I had lost that fight, I'd had to start it over again. That's brutal. Come on, I'm standing right there looking at it. Well, bridge complete, I guess. Let's go. Brutal, it's horror month. The true horror is dying and realizing that the last episode was 10 hours ago. Well, there's also the horror that if I die too much, apparently I just ultimately lose, so... that I would have to do it all again.
You can do this. Go again. Behind you. Finish this. Remember your training. Behind you. Behind you.
Oh no, it's the two-shot guy! Are you kidding me?
It's not over. It's not over.
I know behind me. I know behind me. I'm still working on it, okay?
Behind you.
Are you kidding me?
Behind you. Finished. Behind you. Behind you. She's ready. You're capable warrior. Your training. It's time. You won.
Ugh.
The path to Hela. We can sense her. Where is she? She's getting closer. She's going to die. Let's go. If she sacrifices herself, she sacrifices
behind me.
They've surrounded you. Strong enough. Behind you. The mirror. It's built.
Oh, come on, I need the voices to tell me when it's behind me.
She's injured. She's not gonna make it. Can't do it.
Come on, she's not blocking anymore.
She's injured. She can still do it. Use your sword. Use your strength. He's down. Finish it. Behind you. They're winning. Get up quick. Fast. She's hurt. She's injured. She won't make it. Watch out. She can still do it. Take him down. Take him down. Defend yourself.
Ugh. I got them all.
Wait. What?
What happens when she dies?
What happens to us?
What happens to us?
We die too.
Do we die too?
We
I
die
don't
too.
want to die.
I don't want to.
We'll all die someday.
I don't want to die.
And when everyone's gone, even the gods will die.
We don't want to die.
I don't want to die.
Senua, stop. Turn back.
Stop. Stop her.
Why is she going? Stop.
Senua, stop.
Senua, stop. Why won't she stop to die? She won't stop. 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 I don't want to die.
I'm sorry. I didn't ask you to be a part of me. If you don't want to die with me, then leave me alone.
I don't want to die. Please stop. 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 You'll never come back if you go there.
There is nothing to go back to.
We only have each other now. Don't abandon me.
Everyone suffers. They were right about me.
Listen to me, not them. They are afraid, like children scared of the dark.
So was I.
They made up monsters to fill the void. That doesn't make them real.
They made them real.
No!
Follow your soul and let go of the Senua of old. For there lies your weakness, and the darkness will find it.
Guess that means the voices are gone.
It's not like the old stories, is it? The noble warrior facing evil in search of victory and honor. Clear dividing lines. No. Oh, this place is not quite like that. It's as if it knows that true torment lies within. Memories you cannot defeat, cannot escape. This is her hell.
those red ones are ones I missed.
Wait, Mother! Don't be like this. Turn away, Senor! Turn away, Senor!
You see it, Senor? You see the darkness, faces fear and suffering. I can see it.
Ron Perlman, her dad. There's a chin on that guy.
I remember it clearly now.
She has nothing to fear anymore.
Thanos?
The gods have saved your mother. Through my hand.
You killed her.
It is the will of the gods.
Fuck the gods! You did this to her! Why?
This is what happens when you listen to the voices of the underworld. They crawl into your soul and rot you from the inside. Defy the gods like your mother, and the darkness will come for you too. You understand, son?
I do understand. You cursed me with your own madness. I was just a child. You created this darkness! You created this darkness so you could hide behind it!
Only suffering brings salvation. It is the way of the gods.
It was all a lie. You are a lie! She didn't defy the gods. She defied you! And so you killed her!
You didn't pray to the gods. You prayed to your mother. Your mother, who was too weak to fight the darkness and abandoned you.
You tortured her! You killed her! You are the darkness!
God who demands suffering is a God that should be left abandoned.
Those rituals, the years of isolation, the pain that still haunts you. It was the only way to fight the curse within you. The darkness is inside you and it will destroy you.
You're a liar!
No, Senua. The darkness is here. You cannot wish it away. And it will watch as you draw your last dying gasp.
I won't let you kill me! You're surrounded. Watch out! Watch out! Behind you. see through your darkness. You're a liar and a murderer. And if you really are Hela, then I have a sword here that can kill a god.
Look at you. Running forward, moving backwards to wallow in your miserable past. You're making a mistake searching for Dillion. The same mistake that killed him in the first place.
Coming for you.
I'm trying to save you from yourself. You still believe it is a lie? The plague of darkness, the butchering of Dillion by the Northmen. You saw it yourself.
You told everyone I was cursed. They believed you. I believed you.
Tell me, Senua, where is Dillion's soul if the darkness is a lie? How you saved him?
He's here. I know he's here. Dillion, I know you're here. Hold on. I'll find you. Behind you.
Damn it.
Watch out. Careful, Sam. Dillion! Where is he? You're trying to trick me again with your lies. I know he's here. You took him from me. You have him.
Dillion is gone. Dillion is dead. Let him go now. I'm warning you.
Or what?
Not a
What can you do to me that you haven't already? Fight me. Come on.
You betrayed your own father. You betrayed the gods in search of Dillion, in search of love. Look where that's got you. Let go of your battle. Let go of redemption. Let go of Dillion.
Behind you.
Don't let your darkness hurt anyone else.
Careful, Sam. Watch out.
I'm supposed to lose, I think. Because that was an achievement. Or I just lost everything. How many times have I died? Not that many, actually. Just a couple.
If you're alive, and there's no darkness, then you never took him from me, did you? And I can't save Diane.
I hope it's not game over. I worked hard to get that far.
Is that what you want me to believe? After all you've done to me? And to him? You're not a liar, but you're a liar! You crawled into me to confuse me and deceive me. But I know he's here. I know you have him. I'll give you my life. That's what you want, isn't it? My soul. Take it. I'll be a slave for you. I'll fight with you at Ragnarok. If you release it.
She's not half rotted, she's half burned.
But if you won't, you will have to kill me. Because I've got nothing left. No fear. No hate.
Rude.
I learned the hard way to not be afraid of death, Sarah. Because a life without loss is one without love. You turn your back on death, and all you can see is the shadow that it casts. The longer you hide from it, the longer the shadow grows until all you can see is darkness. When our time comes, we must look death in the eye and embrace it as a friend. Only then can we let go of our fear. And emerge from our darkness.
Never forget what it is like to see the world as a child, Senua. Every autumn leaf is like a work of art. Every rolling cloud a moving picture. Every day a new story. We too emerge from this magic, like a wave from the ocean, only to return to the sea. Do not mourn the waves,
It's very quiet.
the leaves, and the clouds. Even in darkness, the wonder and the beauty of this world never leaves us. It is always there, waiting to be seen again.
Oh no. Oh. It's the rot. The darkness is back. The darkness is Wait. What is it? It feels. It's different. It feels. It's okay. Is it okay?
This is where my story once began.
It's different.
And so it has to end here,
It's changed.
because I cannot see further than this.
Follow us. We have another story to tell.
My friend, go with her. This now will be your story to witness. Goodbye.
Damn.
Every door, each time you get hurt, I don't want you to change, 'cause everyone has hopes, you're human after all. The feeling sometimes wishing you were someone else, feeling as though you never belong. This feeling is not sadness, this feeling is not joy. I truly understand. Please don't cry now. Please don't go. I want you to stay. I'm begging you, please.
Did she win? I think the matter was there was no actual winning. She was basically facing off really against herself. She wasn't able to let go of Dillion. You know, she'd been basically abused her entire childhood, you know, by abusive father, you know, a little bit of maybe mental illness from her mother that was genetic, you know, inherited, and just all the hell she basically went through. And then, you know, the last thing she had in life was Dillion. And so she couldn't let it go. And it was just rotting her from the inside, you know, this demand to get him back. Only to find out that, you know, it's kind of almost like, you know, that once she realized that she, you know, didn't fear death anymore, wasn't, you know, trying to put it to words, but I kind of... How did he die? He, the Northmen attacked a town. They attacked his village while she was going out in the... While she had gone out into the wilderness to confront her darkness. And then when she came back, the village had been attacked and he was up on, basically flayed and up on some pyres. And I mean, it's not all in her head. Of course, it's kind of the way this game presents itself and the story presents itself is that part of it is her going inside of herself, but at the same time, it's kind of really happening at the same time. It's kind of like that mix of storytelling where she's actually kind of going into hell, but it's also manifesting because of her. Sort of thing. And she just needed to accept that, you know, death, she wasn't getting him back. That was kind of the ultimate thing, was she needed to accept that she wasn't going to get him back. And then kind of in the end, it was, you know, she's still got a little bit of the rot in her. She's not purely healed. She's accepted it, and she's kind of accepted some of the rot that has gotten to her. So, it's kind of my interpretations of it. But it was very much kind of an analogy to, you know, mental illness and dementia, and not really dementia, but, you know, just the constant, you know, abuse of family, you know, handed down mental illness from genetics, and, you know, and the constant hearing of the voices and stuff like that. So it was good. That was really good, though. It felt good. That game was tough in some cases, but it was really good. Now for Hellblade 2, Senua's Betrayal. They are making a sequel, aren't they? I think I heard, yeah, they are making a sequel. So, oof. Man. I'm glad we did it not in VR in the end, simply for the cinematics, because cinematics are really good. And yeah, if you'd like to find more about psychosis and mental health difficulties, visit. There you go. So yeah, that was really good. Holy shit. Like, it really was just excellent, though, and the depth and you can't even continue. It's just, there you go. So Hellblade feature warning: following contains feature spoilers. Recommend completing Hellblade.
Stormy seas and lost soul.
Who is it?
She's dreamt of this before.
It's coming. Is it?
They say dreams are visions of our memories, thoughts, and fears, as seen by our inner eye.
We've seen this.
But what if each one of us is always dreaming, even when awake? And we only see what our inner eye creates for us. Is this what hell is? A world shaped by Senua's nightmares. Maybe that's why people fear seeing the world through her eyes.
Yes, she's scared.
Because if you believe that Senua's reality is twisted, you must accept that yours might be too.
It's like a trailer. Sinuous psychosis. This ought to be interesting.
Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice is a video game about Senua, a Celtic warrior on a vision quest into Viking territory. But what sets our hero Senua apart is that she suffers from severe psychotic mental illness.
He knows she's getting closer. He can feel her coming closer. She's getting watching.
The original idea for Hellblade was to create a classic hero's journey, a journey of suffering, but one where the fantasy world is not another planet or alternate universe, but a world that is constructed in Senua's mind. But to do so would mean putting psychotic mental illness at the center of the experience, a subject that is still considered taboo, and a challenge that was both terrifying and exciting in equal measure. In Hellblade, the starting point was a newly discovered Celtic goddess called Senuna in Ashwell, Hertfordshire. When first discovered, her name was thought to be Senua, a name which I liked and kept. I wondered if Senua might have been a Celtic warrior like Boudica who stood up to the Romans. While the Romans had conquered all of Europe, there was a group
Certainly
of
you can
Celts
understand
up
hearing
in the
voices.
furthest
Thankfully,
reaches
it's
of the
only
Roman
certain
Empire
situations.
that could not be conquered, the Picts. And so the Romans built a wall, called Hadrian's Wall, that spans across Britain from sea to sea to keep the Pictish barbarians at bay. The Picts were known for their war paint, painted on with woad, and their matted hair clumped with lime. And so Senua would be a barbarian Pict in this image.
What's your name?
Senua,
I haven't seen you before.
I don't live home much.
Oh, Zeno's daughter.
I have to go.
Wait.
Orkney is off the coast of Scotland and was inhabited by the Picts, steeped in history and mystery, and so I made Orkney Senua's home and set the stage for a crisis. In the late 8th century, the first Vikings landed on the Orkney Islands. The population of the Picts crashed thereafter, replaced by the Norsemen of the 9th century. Were they wiped out? We don't know for sure, but it would seem likely given the reputation of the Vikings. The Northmen's brutality is legendary. High-ranking leaders and chieftains of the tribes they conquered were often offered as sacrifice to their gods. The most brutal of these sacrifices was known as the Blood Eagle. I imagine Senua as a young female warrior who returns home from exile to find her partner, Dillion, brutally sacrificed to a Norse god by these hellish warriors from a faraway land. I imagine the horror of this moment and how it would have dragged her deep into mental torment.
No!
I came to learn that the Celts had a sophisticated and nuanced perspective on the nature of mental disorder. One term they used was gelt, A Gelt is a man or woman who has been driven mad by a curse, battle trauma, or grief. The Gelt would take to a life in the woods in search of penance, punishment, and purgation. And so Senua became a Gelt, cursed by darkness, looking for redemption in the wilds. Another word the Celts used in reference to mental disorders was druth, meaning fool, or
Liar.
one who utters the words of God. They tell of the mad sinner who flees battle into exile and takes on a beastly nature, growing feathers on his body. The character called Druth in Hellblade is based on a little-known person called Findan, an 8th century Irish Celt who was captured and enslaved by the Vikings, but eventually escaped to Orkney where he became a monk.
I will tell you my stories of hell, if I may walk with you.
Upon meeting Senua, it would be his stories that fuel her quest deep into their world of gods.
The Northmen say the world will come to an end.
The sun will grow black, the earth will sink into the sea, the stars will disappear, fire and water will meet, flames will play against the sky, the heavens and earth and all the world will be burned, all the gods will be dead, and the warriors of Valhalla and people everywhere. Senua, prepare yourself for Ragnarok, for it is nigh.
So the stage was set for a new adventure, a journey into the Norse underworld called Hell, a vision quest fueled by madness and myth, a fantasy that was created by Senua's own mind, and one that we would experience through her eyes.
This is your mission. This is your quest. There is nothing else left.
To make a game about a warrior with psychotic mental illness as its central theme was fraught with danger. Mental illness, such as psychosis, is still taboo and rarely acknowledged in a century of cinema, never mind the new medium of games. Where it does feature, it often conflates psychosis and psychopathy, associated with a lack of empathy. It is unfortunate that these two words sound so similar that they are used interchangeably in media. I must admit that I didn't have to look very far to discover my own ignorance of the subject. So we reached out to Paul Fletcher, psychiatrist and professor of health neuroscience
pretty cool.
at University of Cambridge.
Like that they've done
Psychosis
this.
is a descriptive term, and it refers to having a loss of contact with objective reality. So it's characterized by two main sets of symptoms. One of them is hallucinations, where somebody experiences perceptions when there is no actual objective thing out there to perceive.
You're already dead. Who are you?
And the other is delusions, where somebody comes to very often bizarre, unpleasant, frightening beliefs when there's no good evidence in favor of them.
There's no doubt about it. The source of the darkness is in Helheim. And the goddess Hela holds his soul there.
We reached out
Yeah,
to
so
Welcome,
nice to see how they
a
handled it.
biomedical research charity that spends billions on research and awareness programs aimed at improving health.
Mental health hasn't always been presented in the media in a way that is particularly helpful. It can be challenging to engage people with the subject matter, and there are a lot of preconceived ideas about mental health, and particularly schizophrenia and psychosis. So we hope our support allows the team to continue to collaborate with Paul Fletcher and with those who have experience of psychosis to create a game that provides a fresh perspective on the condition and allows audiences to engage with it in a way that just wouldn't be possible in any other medium.
What started out as a brief consultation convinced me that we were only scratching the surface of an immensely deep and interesting subject that could enrich and change the very nature of the game.
That's cool. Thanks so much for coming.
Pleasure, thanks. It's really interesting for me, and I'd love to be involved. I think it's fascinating.
Our understanding of psychosis is still very much a mystery, and ways of treating it are still primitive compared to physical illness. After all, it is easy to see the pain and suffering caused by physical diseases or physical trauma. It is not so easy to see the mental suffering and trauma of severe mental illness. But what if we could find a way to see it? Games are capable of drawing you in for hours on end, playing the role of a character who is different from you, experiencing their perspective, and actively involving you in a world that functions with a different set of rules.
Calls you to your death. It's an evil voice.
If we were to represent Senua's psychosis, we would have to simulate voice hearing, a common attribute. But how can we simulate something we have no first-hand experience of? Professor Charles Fernyhough, a leading expert in voice hearing from Durham University, offered his help.
Hearing voices is an experience that is usually associated with severe mental illness, and crucially we know that hearing voices is a part of ordinary life for many people who don't meet the criteria for mental illness.
Yeah. Oh, that's not him in real life.
We know voices vary according to where they appear in space. Voices can appear far away in the distance, they can appear right there in your ear, they can seem to be coming from inside your head.
Based on the information Professor Fernyhough provided, I put together a sound brief and invited some actors to the studio. We recorded the actors using a binaural microphone, which records the 3D spatial position of sound, replicating the way sound is heard by human ears. It gives you an incredible sense that the person you are listening to is right there beside you.
Can't see how she's going.
Rachel Waddingham from the Voice Collective came to our studio with 2 young voice hearers to speak to our team. We talked at length about their experiences and they listened to our tests, giving us feedback on how we could improve on it.
Everyone hates her. She's cursed.
It's very hard to represent what this experience is like, partly because it's such a personal, intense, emotional experience. It's testament to how Ninja Theory have been listening to what the researchers are saying, but also crucially listening to the experts by experience.
I have no idea how long this
what
is.
they've come up with is so compelling. It's by far the best representation I've heard of what these experiences are like.
Other common attributes of psychosis are visions and flashbacks. We met with Recovery College East, who work with and care for people recovering from severe mental disorders. A group of service users gave us their first-hand account of what they experience.
Sometimes when the vision or what we're seeing is too much, it becomes more difficult until eventually we perhaps don't see anything.
The people we spoke to, the stories they told, were fascinating, harrowing and mind-boggling. The reality of what people experienced was vivid, far exceeding what I could possibly have imagined. We went away itching to represent some of these visions and flashbacks in the game.
I feel like I don't want to start something new off the back of this.
So far away. Don't you know how I wanna feel deeper? I could never know how you grow. All these days are killing me. Now I see deep in me insanity does unfold. I just wanna feel deeper, deeper. I just wanna feel deeper, deeper.
Explains a lot of the visual effects.
As we all know, my heart is so love is so far away. Don't you know how I wanna feel deeper? I could never know how you grow. All these days are killing me. Feel like this, read like this. I just wanna live, that's all. I just wanna feel deeper, deeper. I just wanna feel deeper, deeper.
To refine our work, we continue to hold meetings with Recovery College East over the course of a year and a half, showing them what we had achieved so far and refining the in-game representations based on their feedback. With their help, flashbacks, visions and changes in perception were woven into the story and gameplay of Senua.
The students that are involved in this project are incredibly excited about being involved. They have described the experience as being important because it values their lived experience and shows that despite what we have been through, all of that experience becomes valid, that actually it's something that we should all be talking about.
The experiences described range from beautiful to frightening beyond comprehension. I heard of a girl who has to live with an angry voice screaming at her, slamming on her doors and walls 24 hours a day. I met someone who would often see hanging corpses in a room, so real that she would sometimes try to rescue them. The panic and fear that comes with such visions is entirely understandable, and it can be a living horror for some.
Worthless, weak, pathetic. Go on, feel sorry for yourself, because there is no one left to do that for you.
I was urged by one fellow that we should not shy away from showing this horror, and so I was perpetually torn in making Hellblade. Had we gone too far with our representations, or not far enough?
Broken and lost. Just like your sword.
Come on.
In some ways, voice hearing and visions were the low-hanging fruit, so to speak. There's another aspect of psychosis that is much harder to explain, but one that I think video games are uniquely able to represent, which are often called delusions.
People begin to see patterns in the world. They begin to link things that most people wouldn't link. Most of the things that we might think would be coincidence or, not worth commenting on. Nevertheless, that might have a particular salience or importance for them.
One individual described how everyday words, sounds, colours and objects were steeped in meaning to him, forming a strange and sinister puzzle that he was determined to solve but could not quite get to the bottom of.
It's not just brain dysfunction. It's not like the system shut down. It's actually an incredibly creative process. The person creates a world populated with voices and phantasms and terrors, and they're completely immersed in it. They believe in it.
We often invite people into the studio to play the game. In one of our playtests, they played through much of the game, making associations between runes, secret messages, and the threat of darkness that stalked them. There are many things that happen in the world of Hellblade that make perfect sense within the context of Senua's mind. The dark rot that's killing her slowly from within, the secret runes of the gods that block her path to Helheim, and strange associations that exist in the game to confuse you. To complete Senua's quest, you have to internalize and accept the logic and meaning behind these things to progress. Afterwards they said that they didn't see much evidence of mental illness in the game. People with delusions of all sorts would argue the same thing, that they are not aware of their experience being abnormal in any way.
I need this sword. It's important.
Representing perception changes and thinking patterns within Hellblade gives us a set of symptoms common in psychosis. But people with lived experience were keen to emphasize another point, that it is wrong to define a person by their symptoms. Quite often, the illness comes not from the symptoms, but from the stigma, isolation, and mistreatment that comes about from the rest of society.
Like her father.
They say that I'm cursed. What if they're right?
I needed someone to portray Senua, someone who could believably internalize her suffering. Melina Jurgens, our video editor, had been a stand-in for Senua over a few months while we perfected our motion capture techniques. Without realizing it, she had already auditioned for the role, and I knew her well enough to know that I didn't have to teach her to act, but to relive her own internal pain. As often is the case, those who have suffered mental anguish are never far from us.
Those cameras are always kind of creepy where it locks to the face.
My hope is that by creating a compelling and aspirational character in Senua who feels very much real, albeit in a fantasy setting, we can provide a lens into her reality, a different one to yours, and this is where storytelling comes into play. I imagined her life
your company
based
do
on
that suit?
common threads in real people's lives. She was always prone to psychosis as a child. Her mother Galina also heard voices and had visions, so perhaps there was a genetic aspect. Or perhaps it was cultural, as she lived within a world without science, of gods and a superstition, as exemplified by her druid father Zimbal. Psychosis developed in her late teens to early 20s and was exacerbated by stigma and isolation at the hands of the clansmen and her father.
This darkness.
The one with black dots.
The trauma of
video.
seeing her lover Dillian sacrificed tips her over the edge, making her remodel her reality around a concept that connects everything. The darkness. So the question, is what Senua experiences real? Can only be answered by saying, yes, it is real. It is her reality.
All of her suffering will have been for nothing. It's just a matter of time.
Towards the end of the project, service users and professionals that had collaborated with us were invited to see the near-final game. It was a chance to see if the game had reflected their views or if it had misrepresented them.
For me, being involved in especially developing Senua's character has been really important, and being able to bring in my perspective and what I see and what I hear, and having that built into the game has been a real privilege. It's gritty and it's meaty, and there are some tough subjects in there that are being tackled with honesty.
I was blown away by it today, absolutely blown away. It was just fantastic to get the opportunity to use our lived experience in a very creative way. There's nothing tokenistic about the work we've put in. It feels like we've been listened to, things have been taken on board, and I think there was a lot of realism in the game itself, and it feels very authentic.
Hellblade will give people a good experience of what it's like to hear voices and have those experiences. I'm glad that the guys at Ninja Theory kind of asked us to come along and help them build an experience that's positive when it comes out, and get myself a copy and have a go.
I think all the way through I was really inspired by how the conversations have translated into the game in a way that I think I didn't imagine was possible. So wonderful, really wonderful.
I really hope that others will follow the lead they've set and use the power of something like a video game to change people's perceptions, to increase understanding, and ultimately to make some of the stigma around voice hearing and other experiences go away.
For me, it was really exciting to see something that I explore scientifically being represented so beautifully in a character who's trying to penetrate the mysteries of the environment in which they've been placed, with all of this strange uncertainty and noise and conflicting information that they're getting. I'm very excited by this way of trying to represent mental illness, because I think it actually might be offering us insights that we wouldn't get from pure scientific explorations, and actually giving us quite an empathic view of what it might be like.
Mental illness has been with us for as long as we have been on this planet, but why? Why has an evolution stamped out this weakness from within our gene pool? I often pondered this question until I realized that the question had an inbuilt flaw. It assumes that being and thinking differently is a weakness. The only reason we have computers, spacecraft, medicine, poetry, art, and yes, even video games is because individuals were able to simulate new abstract realities in their minds and share them with the rest of us. We need people to be willing to see differently in order for us to progress and survive as society. And we need to be open to these new ways of seeing. And it is this spirit that motivated me to create Senua's story and share it with you.
That's fascinating. That's awesome the way they did that. Yeah, that's really fascinating. And it's like a lot of it really kind of it does connect, like with the voices, that were always going on. In the moments you didn't hear the voices, sure, they were always disturbing, they always kind of shook you a little bit, but as soon as you weren't hearing them, it was almost unsettling. And I know that that's something that people who've heard voices, constantly have said as well, is that, yeah, when you stop hearing the voices, it's unsettling. and how it kind of becomes part of, you know, that kind of perception of reality. You know, if someone with psychosis, you know, it's real enough to them. You know, it always comes back to that kind of, you know, thought process of how do we perceive the world. You know, just because most people don't see it doesn't mean it's not there. You know, and you know, arguably, the world is as real as it is to the person seeing it. So, you know, the person seeing, you know, bodies hanging from the ceiling, to them, they're there. That's just a fact to them. You know, because other people can't see it doesn't mean it's not there to the person seeing it. It's just the other people can't see it. It's not part of their reality. And it kind of, it does, like I can grasp the concept behind it, because, you know, it's one of those things that I've always been interested in, kind of, you know, mental stuff, the way the mind works, you know, sociology, psychology, all that kind of stuff. I've always been very into it, and, you know, kind of, I can make the connections, you know, the way, you know, why people think this way, you know, understand what thought processes go into someone seeing something that might be absurd to someone else. You know, I can make those pathway connections. And sometimes I thought I should have gone into psychology and all that, but I think it might have driven me nuts. So it really is, your voice issues came when the toxins in your body got way too high. You're starting dialysis. You remember bright colors? I would tell people it was like on LSD or something. So yeah, it just becomes real, you know. And that's something that, again, I like the way they did this. So much about this, yeah, I could draw the parallels. Every little thing they were doing, I could draw the parallels to some kind of, you know, mental illness. And the thing of it is my mother went through it when I was younger. She was bipolar and severe manic depressive. And it is slightly inherited. I had a bit of it as well. I was lucky, though. I kind of learned to balance it out. And also chemical imbalance. It helped, because I actually have a hormonal imbalance. And once that kind of started getting corrected, it really started to even me out. Because I used to get manic really bad. And then be depressed right after it. It was quite awful. I would think Avalon could tell you about it. Because when Avalon and I were together, I was very bad. I got really, really bad. And so, yeah, and so I have, you know, some experience with that myself. But again, being kind of lucky that I can put things together. I can tell when something's not right, you know. I can trace my own paths and say, you know, I'm depressed right now. Is it for a reason? I can't find a reason. Okay, let me trace off these pathways to decide, you know, is it chemical? Is it entirely chemical? It's always chemical, but, you know, is it in balance, or did something trigger it? And kind of the same with, you know, being manic as well. You know, am I angry for a reason? Is it just, has something set it off and all that? And then two, also, once my mother got treated for it, she actually worked in psychiatry offices, you know. So I got, you know, to see pieces of that and all that kind of stuff as well. So was this feeling depressed? Not sure it came out clear there. But yeah, and I've dealt with other people before. I've had friends in the past who have dealt with various types of various psychosis. I mean, especially once the internet hit, and, you know, and you could meet people from all around, you know. And it's not so... It becomes draining to deal with. You know, again, this is another reason why, kind of in the end, I think in the end I didn't go into a psychology field, because, you know, I could empathize with people and say, you know, I understand, you know, what you're feeling. You know, I may not experience it, but I can understand the pathways to get you there. But it is draining. It's very draining. You have to have a lot of energy for it and all that kind of stuff. Was it feeling depressed, or was there more? But then you mentioned anger. Oh yeah, like with manic depression and bipolarness is it'd flip. You'd flip. You'd be angry one moment, just horribly angry at everything, and I mean, probably Wikaluna could see a little bit of that in me, because sometimes I'll just get angry at dumb things. But I mean, it would be awful. Like, I just fucking rage. And then as soon as I'd be done raging, it just depression would sink in. And like, I'd just be awful and sad, and just everything felt like it was falling apart. And that was, you know, and that was a thing. And I never, surprisingly enough, I'd never been so low. Well, here's the thing, you know, when it came to like thoughts of suicide, I could get that low, but I could talk myself out of it. Like, I could see myself reaching that low point, and I could recognize that I was at that low point. And so I could keep myself I could kind of keep that door closed, you know what I mean? I could stand right in front of that door and not open it, because I could recognize where I was. And again, recognizing those pathways. And, you know, you're lucky. The only symptoms you have left is when it is very quiet. You can still hear the voices like people in another room. You can understand what they're saying. I don't think I've ever heard voices, but yeah, I can grasp the ideal behind it. And, you know, again, this game was very good at bringing that kind of out. You know, and especially, you know, hearing these voices, and eventually you kind of put them to the back of your mind. They're always ever present. The voices in this game are always ever present. You knew they were there, but you could kind of put them to the back of your mind, but you could still hear everything they were saying. And then again, it was that moment where the voices weren't there, you suddenly became hyper aware of it. You're like, the voices aren't here, and you almost start to miss them. You know, even if most of the time they were talking shit to you and making you feel awful, you felt worse when they weren't there. And again, that kind of perception of, you can put it back in your mind, but you can still hear everything they're saying. You know, you can absorb everything they're saying. And yeah, and it's, yeah, mental, you know, various types of mental illness. And I mean, it's not, the thing of it is, you know, that kind of question they brought up there, you know, why hasn't evolution stamped out, you know, mental illness? And it's kind of like, it's because nature takes shortcuts. Nature takes all kinds of shortcuts. You know, the most evolved creatures on this planet, if you look down at them on a basic level, you can see all the shortcuts nature took. It's not about, you know, it's not necessarily which one was the strongest to survive. It was the one that was lucky enough to survive. You know, the one that managed to, you know, fit through the keyhole. You know, it wasn't the one that could bust down the door. It was the one that got through the keyhole. And all the others that weren't shaped right couldn't get through at the time. And, you know, and considering nature also, you know, with mental illness, we are composed of all kinds of chemicals. And if you change that precarious cocktail, even just 0.1%, it can change someone's mind entirely. And to see that it's such a precarious mixture, it's not really surprising when the mixture is off slightly. It's not surprising, you know, that a lot of people can suffer depression or manic or hear voices or, you know, have visions and all this other kind of stuff. It's because that mixture is so damn precise to keep you balanced. You know, as the thing they say is neurotypical. It's such a just exacting mix that it's not surprising that people end up not having that exact mixture. And, you know, again, nature takes its shortcuts in evolution and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, and sometimes, you know, it comes down to, with, you know, various mental illnesses is, you know, can people... It almost sometimes you made me wonder, you know, because it also talks about, you know, why didn't evolution stamp it out? Well, maybe it's not that evolution doesn't stamp it out. Maybe it's that people just haven't... Evolution hasn't figured out how to make us adapt to it. You know, it drives us a little over the edge. It makes us off. It makes us hate ourselves. And of course, again, this is, you know, the other thing they mentioned was society around it as well. You know, society around it, you know, people, you know, the non-neurotypical kind of thing. You know, you say you see something flashing in a corner and someone else says, no, it's not there. And so suddenly you're sitting there going, did I really see that? You know, the whole thing of, you know, like things like gaslighting and just how people treat, you know, mental illness and all that. You know, did you see it? You know, I saw it. Well, I didn't see it, so therefore you're crazy. And maybe you did see something, you know. What if you even want to get down to even super deep levels, you know, maybe you did see something that nobody else could see. Who knows? We only know what we can see, basically. So it really just kind of it comes down to reality. It, you know, can often be subjective, things like that. In this case, you feel like it's the human nature to want to help is why it is still here. Animals will kill or shun the other animals that has health issues or even mental issues, but humans will help family or friends that have issues in health. The way the person takes it to the next that way the person takes it to the next generation. Yeah, see, that's true too, is, you know, yeah, we bring it with us, you know. In the cruelest of natures, yeah, it would probably get brought out. But I think too, I think with certain things, that genetic things, sure. I think with genetic things, yeah, that could, by the standards of nature, kind of, if you were to go that route, which is awful, of course, sure, you could drop it. But I think, you know, certain things on a genetic level, like just mental composition, yeah, you could potentially remove that by just not letting it pass to the next generation. But I think brain chemicals are always going to be a bit off. I think, you know, and yeah, sure, the balancing of brain chemicals can be genetic as well, but I think it's just always something that, you know, it's like paint to painting. It's kind of like the idea of paint to painting. You know, if you're good at it, can you constantly replicate it? Or every time do you remake that same painting over and over again, will it have slight differences? It'll always look mostly the same, and even at a distance it might look entirely the same. But it's always going to have that slight difference. Even if you trace it, even if you were to trace an image, it's always going to have those subtle little differences if you look really close. And of course, the more you trace it, the more it's going to start adapting those little imperfections. And so it's always going to kind of be that way. Yeah, see, there's nothing wrong with wanting to help people, you know, and of course, getting past the next generation. It tells a lot about, you know, empathy and all that. It's not a bad thing. You know, and of course, you know, one of the things they mentioned too is it's like people seeing differently is often what has brought a lot of our advancements as well, you know, and not like, you know, supreme psychosis and stuff like that, but, you know, just people seeing things differently. You know, I'm often in my own head, you know, I'm constantly, you know, in my own head telling myself stories and developing stories, and it's not hard for me to do. And it's one of these things. There was a thought experiment a while back where people, well, it's like, I remember trying to learn how to meditate, and they always say, clear your mind, and it was like, I just can't clear my mind, so I guess, you know, the best approximation of it, just make your thoughts be quiet for a moment. And then apparently people would say it's like, oh yeah, I can just not think of anything, and it go completely quiet in their head. And I'm like, that's impossible for me. Is that a thing? Can people's minds actually be quiet? Mine's never quiet. This is one reason I have trouble sleeping. I have to have things to distract my mind so I can fall asleep. Because if I start thinking about the wrong thing right before I go to sleep, I can't. And so it's like, yeah, can you actually make your mind quiet? I can't. I've got at least 3 or 4 thoughts going on in my head all at the same time, all the time. As I'm talking to you right now, I'm thinking about something else. I'm thinking about what I'm having for dinner in a little bit. I'm thinking about what I'm doing tonight. I'm thinking about what I'm doing tomorrow right now, all as I'm talking to you. And it's just like, I can't make my mind go quiet. And so, yeah, when people say, when it was like meditation, I'm like, you can actually do that. Clear your mind. I'm like, always thought that was just like a metaphor, you know. No, people can make their minds go quiet. I can't. I can't. I really can't. Sounds like you and a story you've had for a decade. So yeah, this was something that kind of, and I think I've told this little bit of a story before. Was the first time I ever tried pot. I did it with a friend who I trusted, and the first time I ever did it, everything in my mind went quiet. I had one thought stream. I could pick, you know, basically had all these thought streams that are always going on, and I could pick the one I could focus on. It didn't like make all the others go away, but I could just pluck one and say, here's the thought process I want to have, and I could focus on it. And I wouldn't hear any of the other I wouldn't have any of the other thought processes going on. I could pick the one and focus on it. And then, when I was done with that, I could move on to the next thought process. I could move as I wanted to. And that's the one takeaway I've ever had from the first time I ever did it, was that moment where my head basically went quiet and I had one thought at a time. And I thought, I've never forgotten that moment. That is a moment that has stuck with me, and that's been well over 10 years ago. And it astounds me. And that's what most people, apparently, well, not maybe most, but a lot of people have, is that ability. And I'm just like, holy shit. And it's crazy. It's funny. And it's not funny, but I mean, and I think that's the thing, is like, everyone's mind is different. You're gonna have, you know, everyone's mind is different. There's gonna be subtle differences between everyone. And of course, everyone's gonna have these like little groups that you can be in. You know, it's like, you know, I experience this. Well, here's a group of people that experience this. Who's, you know, and there's always gonna be that. And I think it's always gonna be something. Because again, like I say, nature takes shortcuts, and we're on a precarious cocktail of chemicals that if you just get it wrong slightly, welcome, you're probably seeing something or hearing something or having headaches all the time, or it's crazy. Surprised I stopped. Well, honestly, when I did it, I was in the States and it wasn't legal, and so yeah. And I haven't done it since I've lived here. Surprisingly enough, people don't believe me when I say, no, it's legal here. I can smoke it here. Or eat it or whatever. But I haven't since I've been here. But, so yeah. It's, yeah. Mental, you know, various kinds of mental illness and experiences are always... It's fascinating and, you know, also unfortunate. And just, it's... you know, and the way it's dealt with. So, in this game, I think this game really handled it well, because like I say, there were so many things I could make parallels to. You know, things I didn't experience, but I knew of, and could draw the parallels, so. I told you have the same issue, but it's not as bad. Normally 2 or 3 things, your mind likes to change paths without letting you know. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll like go get a shower and I'll have a thought in my head, and by the time I'm done with the shower, I'm on a completely different mental subject. Like, it's not even related. And then I'll think back of how I got here, and it's like boing, boing, boing. Yeah, there was a path to get me there, but the subject I'm mentally on is not the same one I started on. And it's crazy. Yeah. Mental health is a serious thing, and it's so unfortunate that it's just not taken as seriously as it needs to be. You know, mental health is something that's very important. As important as physical health, and oftentimes they're even interlinked. So it needs to be something that's taken seriously. But hopefully, as things are going on, because it seems like it's becoming more and more recognized. I mean, more and more people are trying to take it seriously. Whether it's being taken seriously on an official level, it's still got a long way to go. But I think a lot of people are, starting to really recognize it needs to be something taken seriously. And it's hard. It's hard to deal with. It's hard to deal with for people who have it. It's hard to deal with the people who try to empathize with it. In the past I've had to break off with people who've had mental illness because they started to rely on me, because I would always give them a sympathetic ear and try to help them out, and sometimes I could help them out. I could help them come to grasp with what they were experiencing. But then it was like, I'd always tell them, I'm not a professional. You need a professional. But they wouldn't, and they would just continuously come to me, and it would just start to drag me down. And but I mean, I always try to have a sympathetic ear. I'm always here when I can be. But understand, I'm not a professional. Try to find professional help. This is for anyone out there listening to this. Try to find professional help. I know it's not easy, especially because professional help is expensive. But yeah, I understand that Twitch streamers and personalities and all that aren't mental health professionals. Try to give you a sympathetic ear and then be, empathetic and everything. But ultimately, we can't be the ones to help you. It's got to be somebody who really knows what they're doing. It's interesting to know the shower is what helps you think sometimes. The shower is my absolute think place. That is my absolute think place. If I want to focus on something, shower is where I go. I think the white noise helps. I think the white noise really, really helps as well. But yeah, the shower is a place if I want to think about something. If I'm thinking of a story or trying to come up with an idea for something, the shower is the place I'll go to. I think the white noise is part of what helps, is that running water sound. It really helps to it cancels out some of the extra thoughts. So yeah, that was that was definitely an amazing game. Why did you do that? Draw that back over there. All right. Where's that? Okay. I didn't think I should probably right. That's the only thing I can kind of come up with, is maybe that's why why shower time is often the best thinking time. Also, as well, when I was growing up, my bedroom was opposite the bathroom. Like, it shared a wall, and the bathtub was actually up against the wall that was behind my closet. And so of course, I'd be put to bed, and then my mother or grandmother, who I lived with, would take a bath or a shower, and that running water is something I would go to sleep to. But also I lived next to a busy road as well that was on the way to a hospital, so I think a lot of times that extra noise would just help drown things out, And I would always listen to music as I'd fall asleep too, and it was always that thing where something that I could hone my focus and, make sure I'm thinking, I sometimes would have to be careful about what I thought about, because sometimes I go to bed thinking about something and it'd be such an intense subject or thought that I'd wake up and be completely wiped out, you know. I'd have dreams about it all night. And yeah. So, you know, even I'd have to be careful about what I'd think about at night. So yeah, it is some stuff. So apparently, I missed one achievement? One hidden achievement. Damn it. Won't tell me what it is. I wonder if it was finding all of the stories, because I think I missed some. Or maybe missed all the some of the faces. Because I kind of stopped looking for them. But anyway, there we go. That was a great game. That was a really, really good game. I can see why it got all the awards it got. And yeah, it says they're coming out with the sequel. I don't know when. Yeah, I have heard that there is a sequel coming out at some point, and definitely would like to play it. So we're getting all heavy there. I didn't really, because of the way the game took, the way the game went, I honestly didn't want to follow it up with anything else for today. Because it's still Spook Month, and I was going to play something spooky, and I just felt like I didn't want to follow something so heavy and so serious with, you know, some cheap spooks or scares, you know. So I kind of just, that's why I trailed off, and we just started discussing. Plus, you know, discussing mental illness and mental health is very important as well. So, you know, and to be able to give my experiences with it, and, you know, for other people to be able to give their experiences with it as well. It's also very important to be able to, it's important to be able to talk about it. So yeah, that's why I just didn't feel like doing anything else immediately after. It felt wrong. So yeah, and actually that's a good place to end it too, since tomorrow's Wednesday, right? Yeah, tomorrow's Wednesday, so I won't stream tomorrow. So better not to start anything new for like an hour. And then come back Thursday. So, thank you guys so much for listening to me ramble about all that kind of stuff. I'll be back on Thursday. It's still Spook Month, so we'll continue some more of it. But sometimes you feel people you're talking with don't believe you. That's the hard thing, and then some people just can't grasp it. It's something some people just can't. It's not that they don't want to. Some people just don't want to. And some people just can't grasp it. Their minds aren't wired for it, you know. They're the people that see everything for what it actually is, you know, objectively is to them, you know. They don't see patterns, they don't see symbols, they don't hear anything, they don't see shadows, they don't jump at anything, you know. Just staunch, if it's what I see, it's what exists, and if I don't see it, it might not exist. So yeah, it's a tough thing. It's a tough subject, but you know, like I say, I'm not a mental health professional. I can't give anyone help, but this is a place where I want it to be a safe place for people to be able to talk about it. You know, don't come here for help, but if you just need to vent, maybe, you know, within reason, within absolute reason. But yeah. So will I be playing Amnesia Rebirth? That comes out today, doesn't it? I might give it a look. It's like 20-some bucks. Or did it come out yesterday? Let me see. Amnesia Rebirth is 30 bucks. I've got the money for it. I don't know why I'm cringing on it. I've actually got the money. When did that come out? It just came out today. Yeah, it comes out today. I'll see what the reviews say. It looks interesting. Is it made by... It's made by Frictional Games. Is it made by the exact same people who made the original Amnesia? Because there was a Machine for Pigs, and I did not like Machine for Pigs. It wasn't very good. Plus, I don't know. I'm getting kind of tired of the hide, don't look at it mechanic. A lot of horror games over the years have adopted that mechanic of you can't fight back, you have to hide from it, and you can't even look at it sort of mechanic, and I've actually started to get kind of tired of it. It's a nice little thing once in a while, but everything started to adopt it, and it's just like, oh. Kind of like flashlights with battery life. I just went, okay, it was a cool thing once or twice, but for the love of God, stop doing that. Stop it. Stop the battery life thing. It's done. It was fun a couple times, but stop doing it. Did I like the first one? Yeah, I really liked the first Amnesia. The first Amnesia was really good. So yeah. Can't stand those games. So do you think I'd love it? I'll consider it. Yeah, I might pick it up and we might try it. I had something else I originally planned before we started playing Hellblade. I can't remember what it was, but we'll see. So we might pick up Amnesia Rebirth or something else. But yeah, that mechanic has become so tired. We'll see. We'll see what I decide on. I've got an extra day to pick it up, so yeah, we might come back with that. It was cool, like I say, it was cool for the first Amnesia, but then everything just did it. It's just blah. You can't look at it. You can't stay in the darkness, but you have to stay in the darkness or it will see you. You have to manage your sanity like down to the fucking wire. It's just, it was cool once. Not again. So, we'll see. Alright guys, so, yeah, I won't be here tomorrow. I'm just gonna say that. There's 1% chance I'll be here tomorrow, but I think I'm gonna try to work on the rat cage a little bit, because we got some more stuff to put in it over the weekend, and we need to do that, so. And maybe come up with something, because we had them actually sleep in that cage for the first time last night. And the only downside is there's nowhere for them to sleep together. There's plenty of places for them to sleep on their own, but not together. So, and I think they didn't like that. So, try to work something out for that. But yeah. Alright guys, so thank you guys for joining me. Hellblade was absolutely amazing. I'm glad we swapped to non-VR simply for the cinematics, because cinematics were important. And that small screen was just maddening. But the VR was really good. I would replay this in VR. I think the VR was amazing. It just needed some fixes. But otherwise it was really good. So alright guys, so again, I'll be back on Thursday. We'll pick up something else spooky. We'll come back to Dual Universe as I get to grips with that as well. So, but it's near the end of the month anyway, so we might pick it up at the end of the month. So yeah. Alright guys, have a great one, and I'll see y'all on Thursday. Bye bye everyone.